Hi, I am composer and flutist Ned McGowan, and I would like to share with you a few of my ideas about the techniques and rhythms of this piece, Cleveland Times. Let's just jump right in. In the beginning, it starts with this multiphonic technique. When you sing and play, of course, you get all the upper multiphonics very easily. You just need to make sure that the melodic line is there. When you're on the low E, I do a couple tricks, a little bit of cheating, which makes it work very easily at least, is on the low E, I add the G sharp key for the high G sharp, and then add the C sharp key for the high B. If you want to do this without singing and playing, no problem. Of course, it's a messy technique. You're getting all kinds of pitches all over the place. You really try to aim for that melody, and for the rest, it's like a flamenco guitar. You get all kinds of notes in and out. It's not like piano chords, which are very clean and clear, and that's okay. That's kind of what I wanted. Let's move on to glissandos. You get this when the melody comes in. You get this first glissando between D and E. Now, this is the easy one. We just open the holes, start on a D fingering, open the holes until you get to E. An important thing when doing opening holes in glissando techniques is to make sure you know exactly where you're going to. So check the pitch. So what is that pitch? It's a little bit lower than my regular E fingering, so you just want to lip it up when you get to that point. With a little vibrato, works no problem. And then when you go from D sharp to E, same thing, you start on D sharp. And what I do is I move these two fingers and these two fingers off of the holes a little bit. So, and of course, in this case, it's the same thing. You have to use your ear to find the right spot to know where to go to with coming off the holes. Now, the next one, which is a little bit trickier, is the one from G to A. And I worked out a fingering for that, which basically starts on high G, and then it ends with the A on the ring finger and the thumb. So you need to get from there to there in a smooth motion, which makes the glissando. What I usually do is I start with the G sharp key by opening that slowly, and then once that's going, I get the thumb down, I lift this finger up, and I pull off the other fingers. So if I do it really slowly, it sounds like this. Something like that. And of course there's some little bumps in the way, but when you do it fast, they get smoothed out, more or less. So that's the trick with that one. And then when you go from G sharp to A, it's basically the same ending point, but the beginning part is the G sharp. Like that. When these glissandos come back, some of them come back in reverse direction, like E to D. In that spot, what you do is you don't start with the regular high E fingering, you start with the ending fingering of the D to E glissando, and then do it backwards. So I start with my fingers on these two rings, and then slide them back. And in this case, it's nice to kind of pull your wrist down and then do like a rolling of the hand and the wrist to make a nice smooth motion instead of trying to slide horizontally. Can be tricky sometimes. Same thing with the D sharp, E to D sharp. I start with that fingering where these four fingers are a little bit opened. Okay, let's move on to rhythm. Because in this piece, rhythm plays a very big role. I'm very interested in the Carnatic music, which is the South Indian classical music, and they do really fascinating things with rhythm. And I've been put some of that stuff into this piece. It starts off in bar 12. You've got this, and when you write that in a bar of 4 or 8 in this case, it would sound very differently than if you wrote it in bars of 3/8. And I want it to sound like it's in 3/8. And that's why I made it beamed like that. That comes back later on, also, once or twice. Now at letter E, you've got another sort of rhythmic cadence. Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to say about the Indian music. Is rhythmically, is what they often do is they will have a small rhythmical phrase, or a phrase which is then repeated a number of times with a displacement which goes towards the downbeat. And so essentially it's a kind of hemiola effect, which we know in the European music, European classical. However, in Indian music it's much more advanced and worked out than what we often have. In letter E, you've got a kind of similar situation where you have notes going towards the downbeat. In one bar before E goes da, 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 beam. And then 2 bars later, da, 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 beam. And then 2 bars after that, da, 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 beam. So you see, they're always going towards the downbeat. In this case, the lengths of the notes are changing. One before E, each note gets 4/16. 2 bars later, each one gets 6/16. Then after that, 7/16, 5, and then 3. And the way I like to think of these rhythms is in 2 different ways. First of all, related to the beat. For example, the one in bar 34. Da, da, oh, sorry. Da, 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 da. So those are groups of 5s. And they start at various places on the beat. But you need to think of it both as the way in the beat, da, 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 and also so da, 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 going towards the downbeat. Same thing with the 3. 1, 2, 3. Da, 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 da. So you get a clean 4 against 3. But it's not a syncopation, it's a different speed of notes. Now, in letter L, you've got this rhythm in the piano, which is a sort of key rhythm for the flute part, which is also 4 against 3, 2 times with a little ending. And that rhythm becomes your key figure in order to play these phrases. First at letter L, that's not so difficult, but in bar 103, da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da. You know, and this is the rhythm related to the beat. But the piano is playing that 4 against 3 frame, and that's exactly where you fit those notes into. So what you end up getting is da 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 da, da 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 da, and then da 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 da. So it's easy when you listen to the piano, and then you're not having to count all these dotted eighths. Then the rest of the piece is more or less straightforward rhythmically. Everything is kind of clear. At the end, you get this repeating phrase which gets shorter each time. But that's also basically straightforward notated. Well, that's it. I just wanted to give you these few tips to kind of get you started on the right path with this piece. Of course, there are thousands of more things to talk about. We will save those for another time. Like I said, if you have any questions, just drop me a line and have fun with it. Thank you.